And that was a pair of variegated fairy wrens. Well, actually, it was an adult male variegated fairy wren and a younger bird, presumably younger male bird, either going into or coming out of the male plumage, the adult breeding plumage. And you saw that they were in a bird bath. You can attract birds to your garden by putting bird baths out. It's a great way to help your local birds. And our next guest, I'm sure, will have a lot more tips on how to attract birds to your gardens. And I can't tell you how pleased we are to introduce our next guest. He probably doesn't need much introduction. I'll just bring him on. Please welcome Costa. I feel like you're the only person in Australia we don't need a surname for, Costa. The Donna of Australia.
Oh, geez. Thanks, Sean. You talked me up a bit, following in the footsteps of Michael there and David as well. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be an esteemed chief counter. I'm absolutely pumped and been spreading the word over the last couple of weeks, and a big call out to all the people that have engaged with the posts and that have said how they've signed up and they're ready to roll. And I got out and amongst it this morning at my place at 6:30, and just as I started, it started pouring with rain, and I think the air traffic control sort of put a call out on the birdie web and said, "Hey, stay down." So I didn't get too. I had 14, and this is the thing, Sean. Like, there I am in the middle of downtown Bondi. A blowing southerly came in. It was pouring with rain, and in that 20 minutes, I still saw 14 birds and 6 different species. And
right,
Michael touched on it, and I didn't catch David, but from what I could assume he was talking about, this biodiversity, it's out there. But the beautiful thing about 20 minutes is that it's mindful time. It's a chance to actually turn everything off. And when you start to just pause and then look, you see these things. Like I had a bin chicken fly over, but it was only because I looked up that I saw it, and because it was really quite high. And add that to the raven, a pack of crows went past, rainbow lorikeets, and a couple of miners as well. And you say there's things going on, and that was in moderately heavy rain. They were still defying the flying orders from ground control, and they still got up there. So that's what I'm really most happy about, is just this chance to share that excitement that you'll be really amazed at what you see. And the resources are great because you can look up what you think it might be and get help. And if you don't know, what a good thing too, that you've got to do a bit of homework and realise that we're not alone in the suburbs.
Absolutely. And I read an interview with you recently where you said how important going for a swim, an ocean swim, has been for you during this time. And I think you spoke also about the mental health aspects of that as well. When you're out there, have you ever encountered any like albatross coming by or anything, or just get out beyond the breakers and just sit back and watch what goes past?
Yeah, look, I've sorry, I'm just getting a bit of right arm cramp because we've been doing some filming here. I've been holding the camera for a bit long. Yeah, look, I've seen some amazing things, but not always when I've been swimming down at the local, but when we've been out travelling with the show, with Gardening Australia, to spend time down on Montague Island. I've been up onto the Tiwis and to Thursday Island, and you just realise what a resource of wildlife we have, and equally, I suppose, from my point of view, is this stuff. It's the plants and the habitat and our opportunity. And I think this is the exciting bit for me, is that, as a door into the world of birds, if we want more birds, it's not about giving them seed. Like that's the wrong mentality. What we need to give them is insects. And the way we get the insects is by having the plants, which bring the pollinators, and they become the food and the natural food for them. And so I like the idea that something like will whet people's appetite, but then we can take that next step and say, right, if you want to get more here, well, build the flags, build the lures, and the lures are the plants. And when you start to do that, you'll be amazed. And a lot of it, habitat is critical. And I'm out here at the moment at Western Sydney Uni at the Kingswood campus to put the spade in on the first day of a community garden that they're building here. That's the cover over the top of the garden beds you can see. But,
right.
You know, you look at this, and this type of hedging is not bird friendly. It's trimmed within an inch of its life. It's basically as good as a concrete wall because there's no habitat in that. Birds can't get in there, let alone do something with it. So you know, the idea with our gardens and with our planting we need to provide different habitat for different birds. We need the branches and the elevated, taller habitat of trees for our bigger birds, but we've got to think really carefully about what we provide for our small birds, and that pushes us to step outside of what we consider that safe zone of like, oh, it's got to be nice and it's got to be clean and pruned. No, it's got to be wild. We've got to allow the branches to grow up from the ground, not under prune them so that we can get in there as a gardener or as a person, and not all these nice soft leafed sort of plants that oops, that's my hand there. I should be better at this. You know, soft leaf things. We need the spiky plants. We need the hakeas and the acacias and all of these different species growing in nice, dense, matted ways so that the birds, the little birds particularly, they don't do open space like that. Like that's a death warrant, you know. They want those things. So from a bird counter's point of view, have a look at your garden and think about what you can do, but you got to think like a bird, and you know, put your birdie goggles on and say, well, you know, am I going to get down in here? You know, that's where I want to be. I want to be tucked in here on the ground, but I want it so that I can get in really, really close to the ground and feel safe, and then jump out there to get something, and then and feel like I'm not going to get hammered by some big predator. So yeah, there's so much we can do with our open spaces, and the thing I'm happy about this courtyard you see here, look at it. It's pretty much a wasteland.
It's very sterile looking.
Totally. And the first step was these two garden beds, and you take each step that you can get, and the plan is to turn this into an entire forest with plantings, edible food. But one step at a time. And these terraces behind me, instead of having just a monoculture of one plant, to actually get trees with canopy so that will help protect the western sun and build a microclimate that will grow other plants that will provide more floral service for our insects, and then that'll bring our bird. Isn't it, Sean? I mean, tell me, don't you just
great.
love this stuff?
Yeah, it's fantastic, Costa. I think if anyone takes anything from today about what you can do for birds in your gardens, and of course you can always go to the Birds in Backyards website that we run, or the Gardening Australia website. But just you heard it from Costa. Think like a bird, and think what a bird would need. I think if anyone takes one thing away from today, it's think like a bird. Thank you so much for joining us today, Costa. It's just been wonderful to talk to you, and thanks for your support over all these years. both getting us on to talk about birds. Holly Parsons from the Birds in Backyard team has been on with you on Gardening Australia, and your support has been a fantastic adjunct to the work that we do, because, you know, as we said before, nature doesn't happen at the gates of the national parks. It happens right outside our window. And thank you for helping Australians appreciate how to bring nature closer to them.
Look, thanks, Sean. We've got some great articles, Josh and Millie, and there's lots of great articles on the show specifically this week for bird life, and a couple of nice little hacks that people can do in terms of providing water and other habitat features. And yeah, don't I suppose, as you say, we can't underestimate that every little bit we do to build corridors and grow those little hops, skips and jumps for our birds,
Yes.
to move across our towns, our villages, and of course our cities. And when we can all participate in connecting this grid, this biodiversity grid and corridors everywhere, then we'll bring the birds in, and we'll benefit so much from the therapeutic aspects of the buzz of saying, wow, look at that honey eater, and oh, there's a sea eagle, or whatever it could be. So no, thanks for the chance to be involved again.
Oh, it's been great having you on. Thanks, Costa. Enjoy the rest of your day.
See you later.
See you, mate.